When Walter James turned 71, he didn't feel like celebrating. He sat alone at his kitchen table in rural Oregon, stirring his coffee while staring at an unopened birthday card from his daughter. His joints ached more than usual. His mind wandered. He found himself thinking of old friends, many of whom were already gone. He reached for his laptop and typed a question he never thought he would ask. How much longer do I really have? The search results were filled with conflicting advice. Some articles promised longevity through superfoods. Others listed grim statistics. But one thread stood out, a recent scientific study from a university in Denmark that outlined 7 powerful predictors of life expectancy after 70. Walter leaned in. The first one stopped him cold. 1. Your walking speed. According to research from the Journal of the American Medical Association, walking speed is a major indicator of remaining lifespan in older adults. Those who walked slower than 0.8 meters per second had significantly shorter expected lives than their brisker peers. Walter remembered how, just last month, he had to stop halfway up the driveway to catch his breath. His dog Charlie had looked back at him, puzzled. He stood up. He walked from his kitchen to the front door and timed himself. He was slower than he thought. Not crawling, but definitely under the benchmark. Something to work on, he muttered. 2. Your grip strength. Grip strength, scientists say, is more than a measure of hand muscles. It reflects total body vitality and neurological health. In a 2021 European study, those in the lowest third of grip strength had nearly double the mortality rate over 10 years compared to those in the highest third. Walter opened the junk drawer and pulled out his old hand gripper. It had dust on it. He squeezed. Weak. No surprise there. Still, he felt something inside him stir. Not panic, but purpose. I can improve this, he thought. 3. Your sense of purpose. This one surprised him. Multiple psychological studies, including one from Harvard, found that seniors with a strong sense of purpose lived longer, healthier lives. It wasn't about having a job or grand ambition. It was about feeling needed, connected, engaged. Walter had retired at 65. Since then, his days had become a loop. Breakfast, TV, short walks, early dinner. His daughter called twice a week, but she lived states away. His neighbors rarely came by. What's my reason for being here? He asked aloud, the silence answering him. That night, he found the local library's website and signed up to volunteer as a reading tutor for children. It was a small thing, but it gave him a reason to show up. Now 4. Your social circle. A landmark study from Brigham Young University concluded that social isolation is as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Seniors with strong social ties live longer, have fewer hospital visits, and lower rates of dementia. Walter hadn't had a visitor in months, aside from the mailman. His church friends had mostly passed away or moved into assisted living. So he made a list: old colleagues, cousins, army buddies. The next morning, he called one, George Taylor, whom he hadn't spoken to in 12 years. They talked for 45 minutes, laughed, planned to meet halfway for lunch. It felt like sunlight after a long fog. 5. Your sleep patterns. Recent sleep science showed a strong correlation between sleep quality and longevity. Not just total hours, but deep, restorative sleep. Seniors who routinely slept less than 6 hours, or more than 9, had increased mortality risks, often due to cardiovascular stress or cognitive decline. Walter had been waking up at 3 a.m. for years, then drifting through the rest of the night in a daze. So he changed things. No screens after dinner. A short walk before bed. He swapped his coffee for chamomile tea. And for the first time in years, he slept a full 7 hours. 6. Your body composition. It wasn't just about weight. Studies showed that seniors who maintained lean muscle mass and reduced visceral fat had a far lower risk of mortality. Sarcopenic obesity, being overweight and undermuscled, was a quiet killer. Walter had lost muscle steadily since his retirement. His arms were thinner, his back stooped, but he remembered the old dumbbells in his garage, covered in rust but solid. He cleaned them off and committed to 10 minutes of light strength training every morning. It wasn't about vanity. It was about staying alive and able. 7. Your attitude toward aging. Finally, researchers at Yale found that seniors with a positive attitude toward aging lived on average 7.5 years longer than those with negative views, even after adjusting for health, wealth, and other variables. It wasn't just optimism, it was the refusal to be defeated by age. Walter realized how many times he had said, "I'm too old for that," or "What's the point anymore?" He'd laughed at those senior marathon runners on TV, secretly jealous perhaps. He had let the calendar define him. So he made a promise. No more saying too old. No more retreating. 6 months later, Walter sat on a bench outside the community center. His grip was firmer, his steps faster. He had read to 29 third graders that month. He met George for lunch every 2 weeks, and he now knew the names of the librarians, the church volunteers, and the neighbor 2 doors down who brought fresh tomatoes. Was he invincible? No, but the fog had lifted. The heaviness that weighed down his mornings was gone. And as he sat watching the kids play tag in the park, he felt something he hadn't in years. Time didn't feel like an enemy anymore. It felt like a companion. Because while no one can know exactly how long they'll live after 70, Walter now knew the 7 signs that mattered. And more importantly, he was doing something about each one.